Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I'm getting all my stuff set up here. Let me get my screen share up. And let me get my pre-submitted questions here. You've got Will today. Where is my stuff? And we got a question from Sean. Oh, chat QA. Yes. And here's Sean's question. Where's my participants? There we go. All right. And Sean, what do you have you want to know how to wrap the text in a button?
Yeah, so because right now I currently have a button, right, that the text I put into just in like the view,
Mm-hmm.
um it's too big, I guess, and it goes actually out with it outside the confines of the button space. And I'm trying to find a way to have it be, I guess, wrapped in it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna use CSS. I don't know if I have any CSS. Let me see here. Okay, so there we go. So you're getting you're saying that your text is not wrapping. It's like getting cut off.
Yeah.
Okay, then I actually think that that's a function. That's probably an issue with the CSS that you're using right now. Here you can see it gets wrapped. It looks now the button's height can't grow to accommodate the size of the text, if that's part of your question.
Huh. Mm, wish there was like if I could just I mean I don't want to share my whole screen but just like the button itself because it's kind of like that here. Let me actually pull it up just so I can see on my end. Yeah. So because I have two things, two buttons side by side. One was made by me, and then the other one was made by someone else who I can't get in contact with anymore. So I'm not sure exactly how he did it. But the one to the right, it seems that it's actually like he has a smaller button than the one
Hmm.
I have, but he's fit more into it.
You're
Um,
you're either looking at using here like deselecting use form font under view or specifying a custom CSS class on the button.
let's see.
So you can
Um,
specify different types of um, CSS classes or override the form font selector here.
hmm.
One of those two things is almost certainly what's causing the difference in rendering that you're seeing.
Let me see. Use the tried using the same one as the one he used, and that's still not working. If I go under view, they're both using the well, his is using the use form font. Um, like could you try saying like or actually yeah, so like kind of like how he says uh button text that is long. Um, or if even if you were to say like I don't know like button what's a long arbitrary another word I don't know roller coaster. Um, the
You
way I
want
would
one, it's like one word is what you're saying?
two words, but they will be I guess like one on top of the other, right? So you would have I guess roller coaster, and
You
then
want, and what are you hoping to happen here if the word is longer than the length of the button?
I'm hoping that it would like I guess be one on top of the other, and
Yeah, I
so
don't. I'm not sure how you even do that with CSS, where you get it to split at a certain character. This
Huh.
is, if you can do it, you'd have to use CSS. And so you just want to look up how to do that in CSS. Then you'd write a CSS class, and then you'd specify that. I'm not sure how to do that, but that wouldn't be a decision specific thing.
Right, right. I just figured I'd ask. I didn't. I thought that there would be like.
Long string without CSS wrap long string without spaces. How to wrap a long string without spaces.
Th
Results.
this one would technically have a space. I can actually tell. I mean, I guess I can tell you what the what the text is. It says
Hmm.
specialty upfit quote is.
Yeah, here this might help. I mean, this is some overflow wrap break word. Wrapping a long
Oh,
string without a white space character with the overflow wrap property. You might look at doing this.
I see.
You'd have
Um,
to get it into a CSS document
huh.
inside of decisions, which if you see in our site here, if we would come and search for CSS, we should see using CSS and forms or uploading CSS.
Probably like CSS and forms, maybe.
Yeah, so you can create a CSS file, you can upload it, and then once you upload that file, you can use it on a form. But it looks like you'll need to add to your existing CSS a class for this thing. Might try this overflow wrap break word property.
Huh. Okay. Okay. I guess I can give that a go then.
Yeah, there's nothing in decisions by default that's going to handle that particular thing. You'll need to look at using CSS to try to do that for you.
Okay. Well, I at least have something to go off of, so that definitely helps.
Okay,
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you very much.
you bet. All right, we got Vlad up next. I'd like to ask about the OAuth 2.0 setup in my flow. What you got? I see you come off mute, Vlad, but I can't hear anything, so maybe you're having issues with your audio.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yep.
Okay, so I've created the flow, everything is working well, and I got the requirement to set it up all authentication. And I never done that in the past. I tried to search on the internet in decision forum, but it is possible. Do we have this possibility? If you can show me that and how to use it in the
You
direct
you
flow.
wanna make a call to a service using OAuth?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in these things. This is really new for me, so probably the verification is gonna be through the oath. I need to call Boomi, so they probably the authentication will be sent to the Azure somewhere.
Hmm. I'd start with this doc here using OAuth with REST integration.
Mhm.
Have you looked at this doc yet?
Yeah. Okay. So there is. Yeah. Okay. I went through the establishing the provider.
Hmm.
But I didn't know from where the should I get those URLs and these things.
These are all going to be service specific, with the exception of like the callback URL. All of these should come from you should be looking at the API documentation for the service you're connecting to. Like the token
Mhm,
request URL, the authorized URL, access token URL, those are all going to
mhm,
be different service to service. Like if
okay.
you're connecting, it'll be different. So you need to look at the OAuth documentation, the sort of authentication
Mhm,
documentation for the service you're trying to connect to.
okay.
Ultimately, you're going to create a provider, you're going to create a token after
Mhm,
you have a provider set up. And then in this doc, you'll see you're going to use that token to pass it into like a header on a REST step that you create.
okay.
And then then that rest step will consume that token and send it on. So these 3 docs are what you're going to want to look at. But yeah, the URLs are going to be something you need to get from the provider's documentation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, now we've got Nancy here. Let's see here. Is it possible within the same form to have a multi-file upload section that when the user loads data to that an active form flow can take that and load it to a file reference entity? No, there's other data already created on a case entity. Should be doable. Are you hitting an issue trying to get it to work?
Yeah, I feel like I kind of got it to work once, but then I don't know, something happened and I couldn't. One of my struggles is that, you know, I have to pass the folder ID.
Mm-hmm.
Can't figure out, like, it's not always showing, like, to pick.
Yeah, the active form flow doesn't really know the folder ID, so you probably have to. What you probably need to do is have like maybe create an input to the form itself called like current folder ID.
I did that.
And then in an active form flow, you should be able to access that property. So here's
Okay.
let me create an active form flow. And then in here, if I use Data Explorer, I should have form data, and I should have form input data, and I should see my property there, current folder ID. I just need to make sure that the flow I'm using the form in gets the folder ID. Now, in this example, it might be the case. You might pass it the current case you're working on or something. The case's folder ID. And then there, if I were to come back to steps, and then I think I should have add file. So add file references to folder. If I were to like do something similar to this, my folder ID, I should be able to select from flow, form data. Oh, hold on, where did it go? Form input data, excuse me, current folder ID. And then the file references would be, they probably are not the right type yet, but they'd be form data, multi-file upload. So let me just do this really quick. Okay, come here and I'll change this from file data to file reference, give it a name, files to upload. And then edit here, in which case then I could pass that into my file references. So form data, multi-file upload, value would be the file reference array. And then that would allow me to trigger that flow to take those files and add them as file references to a folder.
Okay. All right, maybe. Okay. So it's setting up that as input data. Maybe is what I need on the form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how you get the case folder ID, because the active form flow doesn't know anything about the flow kind of calling the form itself. It could be used in a variety of different places.
Would that be for, so I've got another, which was just weird, that I've got, say, just a text box. So if you put a text box on this form to where you're gonna put some data in it,
Mm-hmm.
like it showed in my active form flow, and then I needed to see if it was empty, but then I went back into it and it wasn't there. So is there something else I need to do to basically, if I were, I want to, there could be data, there has to be data in a cell in order to enable a button.
There has to be data in a cell to enable a button.
And then that, so that text box, that element isn't always available in my active form flow. Is there, is there only certain things that are available within an active form flow to choose from?
I mean, it's definitely what's on the form.
Okay, all right, maybe I have to redo this.
Only what's on the form is going to be available for you, or what you define as input data to your form. Those are
Yeah.
the two sets of data that you should have available for you.
Yeah, it's not, okay, all right, I'll look into that.
You're saying that at one point you had it and now it's gone?
Right, yes. And I can't pick it.
Like it doesn't, in the active form flow, it doesn't show in form data at all?
Right, it doesn't show in form data.
And
Yeah.
you are you using like enable and disable rules on this thing?
Um, yes, yes. Well, I have a rule.
Mm-hmm.
I have a rule, and so then I have to map. So if you create a rule, then it's checking to see if there's data in that. Yeah, see, like I have where it's not showing. It was, and then it's not.
I wonder, it'd be worth, what, depending on your version, we fixed some things here. I wonder if like I come here and I do this and I say is not, and let me say not visible, not initially visible, false. And then let me save this and go back to my active form flow. Let's see if that changes its selecting ability to select. I'm just guessing here, but I'm just trying this really quick. So form input data, or excuse me, form data. No, text box is still there. You know, we have had some issues where certain things get like the form flow definition, like the active form flow gets cached. It might be worth just trying to restart on the server just to see if it persists or not, since you said you had it working.
Well, it was working just like literally a few minutes ago, and then so it's not. Oh, what's funny is that now it is. Now I see it back. I don't know what that is. That was weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right, well, it's back now, so maybe I did save and kind of get out, but all right. Well, let me try. I really want to run and then save what data they load into that load area and then have it go to a data grid where I've done some checks on it. So it looks like I have to make that one part of the input.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay, that give you what you need?
I hope so. Thanks, Will.
Okay, all right, you bet. All right, and then we've got Jeremy here. Can the sequence of a generated ID be reset? Yes. No, we used to let you do this through the UI. And I think when we changed the database sequences, we don't let you do that anymore, do we? Look at system. Where'd system data go? Right here, of course. System data, ID data is not there. Does designers have ID data now? No. ID data. Okay. So, bear with me. I'm just looking at something off my screen to figure out how to do this. Alter sequence, sequence one. So get. So I think we can get all sequences. Let's see if I've created any sequences on this thing yet. So list all sequences in a SQL Server database. Let's see what this query does. R sequence 1, 1. So let me create a case really quick. I'm come back here. If I run this, there's C sequence, start value 1, 1. Let me run another one of these and see if I can get that to change. All right, so that gives me 1 and 2. If I run that, I see 2. Okay, so that's C underscore sequence. And now I think I can run this. Alter sequence, C underscore sequence. Restart with 1. Run that. I run this, it's back to 1. And if I add a case, and it will be back to 1. So yeah, looks like you can. You just have to interact with the database directly here, and that would be per server. So the sequence number doesn't kind of come along environment to environment. So if you want to reset it to something, you can use this alter sequence command in SQL.
All right, thank you. That'll do what I want.
Okay, you bet. Do I have anyone from? Well, will we make sure that that gets documented, please? I'll put this query stuff in the doc team channel for us. All right, Vlad, looks like you have another question for us. Let me get back to my list here, and I have generated an API payload from a flow using API integrations, but I would like to change the payload structure slightly. Is there any trick on how to achieve this? So you're talking about you've gotten an API payload to call a flow as an API? Vlad, would you like to come off mute and talk through your additional question here?
Okay. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. I was on mute. Yeah, so I have a payload, and I will receive the request from somewhere else, and also I wanna how to explain myself. I wanna change slightly the payload structure, the JSON, and also in on the input and also on the output side.
Okay, and so, but are you calling a decisions flow as a service? Or are you
Yeah.
calling a service inside of a decisions flow?
Yeah, I've created a wrapper that will generate the log file and will test if it's a success or not. And in that wrapper, it's a subform that's running entire logic. And then the output in the point, it's different as I expected, but
You have a rest step inside of a subflow?
yeah, I'm calling I have a flow, like I call it like an endpoint wrapper, and I added to that wrapper the flows that are respond like truth tables and all the stuff, some logging modules, and then I sending back output from those all the alchemy that been doing that endpoint. And I see that the that structure what was generated by decision is slightly different as I want it. And I'm just thinking if there's a chance how I can change the API payload, I mean the JSON structure, to something more suitable for myself.
Something more suitable for yourself. Well, decisions like so you have an API step, right? That API is
Mhm.
returning you JSON,
Mm-hmm.
and you created a data type for that JSON.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but sometimes I have also another option that I have some data types that I don't want to send out, but they are visible in the payload,
Mm-hmm.
also in the gate, and I'm just thinking is if I want to somehow cheat that process, so I don't want to. For example, I have an ID over there. I want to get rid of it, or I have a like a list of categories,
Mm-hmm.
and it contains like multiple like, list of values, and I want, for example, change it to like a category, and then separate then product option, and then again category and product option, product option, instead of have a one category with a big bunch, with a huge bunch of list, with a list, and product option with a big list. So I want to have the structure like
Sounds like this just sounds like a normal mapping operation. Like you can create like a flow structure
mhm,
for your the other type you want,
mhm,
the like with less properties,
mhm.
and then just use the mapping editor to just map from the sort of data, the return from the web service into something less verbose. So like if
Okay.
you can just leave the ID, you can create a type that doesn't have that ID property,
Mhm,
right? Or you can create a type that, or whatever. You can do a loop and look through a collection and filter out everything that starts with A.
mhm,
This just sounds like a normal like mapping operation.
mhm.
Like say I wanted to create like I'll say like small account
Mhm,
return, right? And
mhm.
I'm just going to create email address.
But I have a list, like let's say list of values,
Uh-huh.
and it's a list, the variable.
Are you want to pull things out of that list?
Yeah, yeah. Mm,
Based,
oh,
but like you want to remove certain items from that list?
yeah, or changes. Okay, so I will. I'm trying. I understand what you are trying to say. So I will create another flow, and I will call that subflow, and I will play with the variables separately over there.
The thing you might want to look at is just looking at using like a rule collection filter.
Mhm.
If you can create a collection filter here.
Mhm.
Rule collection filter. And this thing can take in a list. So I'll change, I'll say a type of account just to create something.
Mhm.
And then in here, a list comes in and a
Mhm.
list comes out, and it gives you a special rule you can write. And here I could say, filter out all accounts
Mhm.
whose, email address starts with, or return all accounts whose email address starts with A. And this will
Mhm.
take in a list and give you a filtered list back based on if each item in the list matches whatever this rule states.
Mhm. Okay. Thank you. So I will try to play with another flow, you know, and I will rename those variables and just link them in a mapping editor. Okay, that could
Hmm.
work.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds like just like kind of a bit of a mapping operation to get what you want.
Mhm. Yeah, the problem is that I show the booming guys different structures, and they already start to build the API on their side,
Mm-hmm.
and I've changed the my final structure of the output, so they
Mm-hmm.
were plain. So I wanna fake like list of values about all those entities that are in the payload.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the point what I'm asking for.
Yeah, sure. And you can do that. You just need to do some transformation before you like get to the end step of the flow or to wherever you're going to.
Okay, so I need to play that in the flow separately. Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
And the wrapper, I will create the subflow in that flow. So yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Thank you very much for the.
Okay, you're welcome.
Mhm.
All right, any other questions from anyone today? Got a question here from a Scott, but I don't see that they're in. I don't see that they're here today. All right. Yep, happy to help. All right, is that all questions for today, it looks like? Last call, so to speak. Okay, I think we'll call it a day then. I will be back same time tomorrow. If you have any questions, please, please let me know. Thanks, and hope everyone has a great day. Thank you. See ya.